There's something no one tells you after 60. Not because it's complicated, but because it's uncomfortable. You can have money, experience, even wisdom, and still lose attraction in seconds without saying a single word. And the truth is, most men never realize it's happening. Women notice it instantly and silently step back. You might think attraction at this stage is about stability, maturity, or conversation. And yes, those matter. But before any of that even registers, her mind is scanning something far more primal: your physical presence, the energy your body gives off before you even open your mouth. And this is where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves. The first thing she feels isn't your personality, it's your physical discipline. Not your age, not your wrinkles, but how you carry the body you've been given. Because to her, your body tells a story. It whispers whether you've given up, or whether you still respect yourself. And here's the uncomfortable part. Women are incredibly sensitive to signs of neglect. Not perfection, neglect. When your posture collapses, when your shoulders round forward, when your movements feel slow and uncertain, it doesn't just look tired, it feels defeated. And women don't respond to defeat. They respond to presence. A man who stands upright, who moves with intention, who owns the space he's in, triggers something deep in her psychology. It signals strength without saying a word. But when that physical presence fades, something shifts in her perception. She may still respect you. She may still talk to you. But the spark, the curiosity, the subtle pull, it quietly disappears. And what's dangerous is, most men don't even notice this shift happening, because no one tells them the truth. But this is only the beginning, because the next habit is even more subtle and far more damaging than poor posture. There's a habit that seems small, almost invisible, but it quietly erodes attraction faster than you think. And the worst part? It often comes disguised as comfort. You stop caring about the details. Not in an obvious way. You're still clean, still dressed, still presentable. But something shifts. The sharpness fades. The intention disappears. Your clothes become good enough. Your grooming becomes routine instead of deliberate. And to you, it feels normal. But to her, it feels like you've checked out of the game. Because here's what most men misunderstand. Women don't just see how you look. They feel how much effort you put into how you look. And that feeling carries emotional weight. When a man pays attention to his appearance, not obsessively, but intentionally, it signals self-respect. It tells her, I still value myself. I still show up. And that energy is magnetic. It's not about being young. It's about being awake. But when the details start slipping, slightly wrinkled clothes, outdated style, neglected grooming, it sends a different message. Not loudly, not aggressively, but subtly. It whispers that you've stopped trying. And once that perception forms, it's incredibly hard to reverse. Because attraction, especially for women, lives in the small things, the quiet signals, the effort that most people overlook. And here's where it gets deeper. It's not even about impressing her. It's about the emotional experience she has when she's around you. Does she feel a man who is still engaged with life, or someone who has slowly faded into comfort? That feeling decides everything. And what comes next might surprise you even more. Because this next habit isn't about how you look. It's about how your body communicates something far more powerful than style ever could. There's a signal your body sends that no outfit can fix, no grooming can hide, and no amount of talking can compensate for. It's the energy of how you move. And more importantly, how you hesitate. Because hesitation, especially in a man over 60, doesn't read as thoughtfulness. It reads as uncertainty. And uncertainty quietly kills attraction. You see, women are incredibly tuned into emotional safety. Not just physical safety, but the feeling that the man in front of them is grounded, decisive, and present. And this doesn't come from what you say. It comes from how you act in the smallest moments. The pause before you sit down. The way you reach for something. The slight indecision in your movements. When your actions feel delayed, unsure, or overly cautious, it creates a subtle tension. She may not consciously think, he lacks confidence, but she feels it. And feelings are what drive attraction, not logic. Now understand this clearly. This isn't about being aggressive or forceful. It's about clarity in your physical behavior. When you move with intention, even slowly, it feels different. There's direction. There's certainty. There's a quiet control that draws her in. But when your body asks for permission, when every movement feels like it's waiting for approval, something shifts inside her. She stops leaning in emotionally. She becomes neutral, observing, detached. And this is where many men lose without realizing it, because they're focused on saying the right things while their body is communicating the opposite. And here's the twist. The next habit has nothing to do with confidence or appearance. In fact, most men think it makes them more likable, when in reality it slowly drains attraction without warning. There's one habit that feels harmless, even polite, and most men believe it actually increases their chances. But in reality it does the opposite. It slowly drains the tension, the curiosity, the very thing that creates attraction in the first place. You become too available, not just in your time, but in your energy, your attention, your reactions. You respond instantly. You agree too quickly. You lean in before she's even decided how she feels. And while it may come from a place of kindness or enthusiasm, to her it feels like there's no mystery left to explore. Because attraction doesn't grow in certainty. It grows in space. When a man is always there, always ready, always giving, it removes the emotional challenge. And without that subtle challenge, her mind stops engaging. She doesn't have to wonder about you. She doesn't have to feel you slipping away. And without that emotional tension, something inside her goes quiet. This doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means having a life that doesn't revolve around her presence. It means your attention has value, and it's not handed out automatically. Women are drawn to men who feel centered in their own world, not men who orbit around theirs. And when you combine this with everything we've talked about, your posture, your attention to detail, your physical certainty, something powerful begins to happen. You stop chasing attraction and start becoming it. Because at the end of the day, it's not about age. It never was. It's about the signals you send without realizing it. So the real question is, what is your presence saying about you before you even speak?